welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well, hope you're having a magical day, and this video makes today even more magical. This is actually being done exactly on the day of being released. So the whole recording I feel like is maybe a bit blurry. I tried my best. I'm gonna fix the settings because I'm using the actual Creative app to record. Creative 5 has a recorder, the time lapses, the whole thing, which is extremely helpful. I'm gonna have to work on it because I'm probably gonna have to switch from a JPEG, which isn't such a good photo, but it was gonna save my space on the computer a bit more, to a PNG, as well as the compression a bit less, so that it's a good quality when I zoom in on the faces after the whole thing's been recorded, because it's basically recording the whole canvas I'm working on. And the whole canvas is like 15 times the size of each face. So you understand why the whole thing came out a bit weird. I was thinking about it, but then I was like, I can't really do much. I guess we're gonna see from the first try and what happens after. So with Angelina, you're not gonna notice it as much. Her face is actually one of the biggest on the ones I'm gonna be working on today. I also have Floor's face, which is quite large, but the rest of the people, since we have two bands, we are in a bit of a iffy situation, since they are a bit, smaller in size of face, sadly. So the details might not pop up as much. But yeah, as you see, I've just finished Angelina, and she was pretty easy to do because, first of all, hair pretty nice and straight, so I had the chance to do a bit of a nice change, smooth. I feel like I like it. I even left the lines into, I don't know, I like it. It's kind of like, you could call it a texture in a digital form. I really, really like her shirt, and I also love the crown. I didn't want to add any more, I just did the crown first thing, and I was like, ooh, it looks pretty cute, it looks really nice, I like the detail, I like how it's not too much. And when you're looking at a huge mural, you want the faces to pop out. You don't have to pop out the clothes, the faces, the accessories, it's too much. So what I'm focusing on is to get the hair all shiny, that's why I'm adding these, a bit of highlights, and to get the faces to stand out with more detail if you zoom in on them afterwards. And I feel like I've done that a lot better here, as you can see, the detail on the face, whereas on the crown, as I said, is not as much. I was marking a bit of the colors in the back there, so that's why you saw a pop-up of colors. So I can keep it for everyone, and it's a bit more of a cohesive and coherent result afterwards, because I'm going to intend to use those same pinks, whites, blondes on every single character, adjusting them a bit to what their actual colors are, obviously, but I want to keep it a bit cohesive, so it doesn't become too hectic and crazy and it doesn't make sense in the end, because I want it to add up together. I'm also painting myself, as I said, I'm gonna say it now, at the end completely, since I was a bit too busy and I just made it in time. I actually have a huge big deadline coming up on Tuesday to give in. Although they're very, very okay with their deadlines, I do want to finish it on time, and I think I will. I'm making a little bucket jumping and also bouncing and falling, which is pretty cool because he falls flat on his face and he stretches while he does that. So imagine a huge, a little bucket just tipping over and just falling flat on his face while stretched. It's pretty fun. It's really fun working with little characters like those. So here I'm working with the shadows and everything, but I barely made it. I finished this thing, the whole thing of it, the whole mural, on Thursday. So on Friday I worked on the bucket even more. I can finish the bucket today actually and tomorrow, and I'm gonna give it in right about on time because we're starting the first actual big project, which is our abstract animation. It's not characters, it's not narrative based, it's the complete opposite, and I feel like it's pretty fun, and it's actually a really good transition when it comes to traditional media like me and mediums and techniques to a more digital animated kind of style. I feel like they've done a great job. But yeah, if you saw before, you saw how I worked with the outfits. As I said, I don't want the outfits to stand out a lot. We're moving on to Florian's, and if you guys don't know, by the way, you can see it. I'm blocking out the colors so I can work easier afterwards. with just like not going out of the lines. I like digital drawing when it comes to that. I'm looking at the colors for the outfits, all dark. But what I did is I just outlined with white the outfits. I just went over the outlines that I used for the outfit details with white. Best choice ever, because again, the outfits don't stand out that much, but they do stand out because you do see that white to black contrast, so they do obviously show, but it's not as much as the face details and the hair details, and it just gives a lot more of a controlled and like comforting, not disturbing, messed up like look when you take a look at it. And I really like that I found that out quite quickly, that method. Very happy with that. So I'm starting to put again like my shadows and highlights on the hair. At this point I feel like I've mastered a technique that I like for the hair, and I intend to use it for every single person. I've really had fun. I also was pretty happy that we had a bit more of a curl and then a bit more of a straight, and you had Flora's hair that was like completely straight and like curved a bit more. Like we had a lot of different styles. Obviously Melodies is like super long, so I had a chance to play with like I don't know how the hair waves would hit, a bit lighter and a bit harder. I made a bit of a, I don't know, I like it. It's pretty fun. Like if you look at Melody's hair, it doesn't really make a lot of sense of where the color is, but I like it. It's pretty fun. Sam's hair is also really fun. So finishing off the hair and adding the final highlights. I just have to say that I feel like I've mastered the hair and I really like it. I really had fun making this, and I must say that I first thought, you know, it might be difficult and everything, but once you get the hang of it, I feel like that goes for animation as well. Once you get the hang of it and you get a good speed going, like a good like rhythm, you end up controlling a lot more your shapes, your textures, what you want to keep cohesive and coherent, and what you want to change and give more depth to, and it works a lot faster that way, which is very important. I feel like it's just how I worked. I don't know if other people work like this. You guys could let me know how you guys work when it comes to a project or something that you start working on, if it's artistic or just work-based, I don't know. But I feel like once you get the, let's say, basic of your own adjustments and styles, it gets a lot easier. So as you see, I blocked out a lot of colors on Flora's face. I was gonna get a bit of the shadows going, the pinks, just a bit of more the details. It ends up looking very dark down at the chin area, which I try fixing here, and I feel like I've done a lot of a better job afterwards once it's touched up a lot more. really like how I added a lot more of a let's say calm version to her face of colors. But yeah, that's how Flora's face finally finishes off. You can see how I light up the outline here, and I'm gonna start blurring it out a bit more just so it's not just lines. It has a bit of a fade into gray, you can call it. Now I'm zooming in a bit. You can see I'm adding the whites to their teeth and working on, I know it's not that zoomed in, but again, I feel like if I zoom in too much, it's gonna be too blurry. So we're gonna keep this size. Yeah, I'm gonna start putting in and fading out the whites of the outfits. I really like how in the end it all turned out. At this point, I've also learned a bit. I think the most difficult part was me learning what tones and colors you use for the shading of the faces. Now, for the band, for Lilac here, I've used a lot of pinks and just a tiny bit of brown, which is what I should have done for Flora's face as well. I feel like the cheek is a bit too harsh, and also the chin area is just a bit too harsh. I would have added a bit more pink. Who knows, maybe I just go back to it at the end and just add a bit of a pink, or maybe in the second part. But yeah, we're reaching the end. I love how this turned out. I really had a lot of fun making it, and it was just, especially because we're working in a very like static digital image kind of way, whereas for animation we've started with the complete traditional way, like peg bar, like the one Disney used and also uses still today. I don't know, it depends on what project they're working on. But the kind of flipping the page and animating way, yep, I'm using that way if you guys are wondering, which is pretty fun. But yeah, at this point I've also added the lip details. You can see me removing the lines of the outlines of the lips, just so it's a bit more realistic. But I love how it turned out. I really like it. I've said really a lot of times. You can pretty much hear it. If I had a counter, it would be to like 100 or something. But it was such an experience. It was so fun. And to have this kind of digital process that is not too digital, but also not too like animated, it's just a nice stepping stone when I'm working with traditional animation, then moving on to this version, and then moving on to actual digital animation. I feel like it's a really nice step, and it turned out so nice. So yeah, if you guys are wondering, I'm having fun and everything. It's a blast, and I'm just enjoying myself here. A lot of projects, a lot of things, but cool thing is I don't have anything to write, like written test, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I hope you guys liked how this turned out. This was part 1. Part 2 comes in 3 weeks, and I hope you guys are excited for it. For now, bye bye!